Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story. If you haven't subscribed to my channels, please do so. We have Billy Goff with us. Billy, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. How did you get involved in martial arts?
So when I was younger, my dad worked with um, someone actually I work for now. He was doing like odd jobs here and there, and his son had wrestled. So he told my dad to put me into wrestling because it would be good for me. So I started wrestling at 8 years old, and I wrestled all the way through high school. Then throughout high school, a couple times here and there, I went to a couple gyms, tried some jujitsu, tried some boxing, and I liked it. Never stuck with it for too long. The gym I'm at now currently, I actually did go to when I was younger. The and then when I graduated high school, I wanted to wrestle in college, but I ended up not wrestling. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna give MMA a shot, and I fell in love with it.
So, where are you currently training now?
The Rough House in Groton, part of Team Dexter Valley Tutor.
Okay. And did you do more of the Muay Thai and boxing, any stand up, or it was just strictly ground?
So I grew up doing mostly grappling. I grew up wrestling, and I did jiu-jitsu here and there. I did a little bit of boxing when I was younger, and I did a little bit of striking. I never did Muay Thai growing up.
Okay.
I've most of my striking has been within the past few years.
When did you decide that you wanted to go professional?
So I started training, and I wanted to fight. I wanted to get a fight and try it. I had 6 amateur fights. I really, really, really wanted to go pro as quickly as possible, but my coach was against that because you got to get experience,
Yeah.
and amateurs like a free chance at getting fight as many high level guys as you can, take as many losses, wins doesn't matter, and just get all the experience you can, and then go pro, and you're gonna have a better shot while you're pro. So I just listened to my coach, and when he thought I was ready, that's when we decided to go. We it was actually after my last amateur fight at Cage Titans. We were looking for just one more amateur fight before we went pro. We wanted somebody that could offer us something. Um, and I ended up fighting a black belt in jiu-jitsu, got put to sleep, and then went pro.
So, oh, you have a cat. Hi,
Yes,
kitty.
she's not the nicest.
No. It's funny that you say that the importance of amateur because I just had a previous interview where we talked about that how some people want to go pro before they're really ready and it kind of ruins their I mean depending on who they have cornering them and coaching them and managing them, it could ruin their career.
100%. That it's I've been I know people who didn't have any amateur fights and went straight to pro, which is just ridiculous. They're two different sports, and
Yeah.
amateur is like a fluff pro. So it's like you get to do it without as much because you don't get knees to the head and you don't get elbows. So
Yeah.
it's a little you don't your risk of getting hurt is a little less. So it's good to if you can't handle that for 3 minute rounds, going into a 5 minute round, it's not for you.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Through your professional career and even possibly your amateur career, is there a particular fight that stands out the most for you?
I would say my title fight for reality with Cameron because that's the one I'm most disappointed in myself with
Why is that?
because I just wasn't in the greatest mental state at the time, and I didn't fight like my fight. Like I was doing well, just standing up. Like I was out striking him, but then when he went to the ground, I just wasn't trying to get up. I was just sitting there holding him. Um, waiting for the ref to stand us up, which was just a terrible decision. And I should have just tried to get up. And so it it was just terrible. I fought a terrible fight when it came to the grappling, and that's probably, if I could go back and fix one thing, it would be that. Everything else, it's not so much. Like all my other losses, so 2 losses as an amateur, I got put to sleep at the end of the round. So I was like, well, it sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, like I was doing pretty well outside of it. Uh, and then the other losses I cut, which was just a doctor stoppage. So it's just like, can't make them let me. And I only fought 1 round, so it's like, all right, it sucks, but it's it's not the same as going 5 rounds and losing.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the worst. I was at a fight where they did that. I felt so bad. They were fighting and they were going. I think it was like in the worst part. It was like the last 30 seconds of the fight,
Mm-hmm.
and then they stop it. Like the girl was winning. Yes, she got elbowed, so she got really cut, and it was like, you know, just blood gushing everywhere. And they stopped it, and then she's like, "Yeah, but that's what fighting is about." And I mean, she was winning the fight, and that's how it was a doctor stoppage. It was, yeah. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's like it's anything. Like you watch any fight where somebody's just like, I could beat you up for 24 minutes straight, and in the last minute you catch me and knock me out.
yeah,
Like you won the fight, man. Good for you. But I also just beat you up for 24 minutes. So it's like I'm not too mad about it.
yeah. That's oh my god. It was, and everybody's just like, oh my gosh, just don't stop it, because
Yeah, that's kind of messed up with 30 seconds left. Like I had 2 rounds left. 30 seconds left. That's just rude.
yeah, 5 rounds. She was in the fifth round. It was like 20 seconds left. She got cut on her head, and she had one above her eye. But yeah, I mean, and she was winning. So, but I mean, it is what it is. You never know what's going to happen when you get in the ring or when you get in the cage. You just have to prepare for whatever happens, and just have. I mean, she had a great attitude. Even with that, she had a great attitude, which I would have been really upset. But she was a sport. When is your next fight?
July 10th, Cage Titans.
Are you looking forward to this fight?
I'm excited. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
It's going to be a good one.
Thanks.
Now, do you feel that because you just had a fight? Well, not just had a fight, but with Gracie. What
Yeah,
was?
Hobbs and Gracie back in
Yes.
for Bellator.
Do you feel that your fight with Cameron made you more aware of your grounds or any type of technique for that fight that would allow you to change your style? Like,
No, not so much so because Cameron didn't do anything that I haven't seen before, and he didn't do that I don't know how to stop.
yeah,
Like if we fought again, I'm 100% certain that I would win. I believe I am the better fighter. Not taking anything away from him. He's a tough dude, just hardest hitter I've fought.
hmm
Um, but the thing that prepared me most for Hobson was my jiu-jitsu coach. We got a new jiu-jitsu coach recently, and he trained very similar to because Donna, her death squad, was in New York for a while, and I know Naaman Gracie was training with, or at least cross training. They did a lot of the same stuff, and my
hmm
coach watches all of their stuff, so he has their playbook. He does what they do, so I got to see it for months, and the fact that which is funny because COVID canceled the fight and pushed it back almost a year,
hmm
and all that did was give me more time to train leg locks. So COVID kind of helped.
yeah, because I see that it got rescheduled twice.
Officially, yes, it was scheduled a total of 3 times, but there
Yeah.
was another time that it was kind of put out there, and we said yes,
hmm
and they came back, and so it was rescheduled 3 times, but only 2 of them were official.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. And COVID helped you through, how did you handle your training throughout COVID? Because I know some people took time off. You never took time off. You're like, no.
I mean, there was no reason to. There's like obviously things changed because
Mhm,
COVID, like so it made it you can't train. Like we did a lot of stuff like outside at
mhm,
parks. So that changed things, but I mean that quickly changed as well, and just there's a lot of changing in the process. Like
mhm.
let's go in this place in the gym, outside the gym, new people, nobody else. It was strange to go through just a constant varying
Mhm.
situation with COVID, but it was. And any time that I wasn't at practice, I was at home doing my own stuff.
How how has like the mental aspect of it affected you? Because I know fighters go through a lot, just sacrificing so much, their training, their camp, their family, their friends, their work, and then on top of that, you're dealing with training during a pandemic. Did that affect you at all? Did it strengthen you? Did it?
Um, so I had mentioned this in the post fight interview of Bellator as well. Because so I work full time outside of
Mhm.
training full time, so I pretty much have a 60-hour work week every week, um, and so I don't have a lot of time outside of that because I also have to do other stuff. I'm an adult, as most people know. You have responsibilities at home. Uh, so, and then with COVID, you people, I don't like. I personally didn't care too much about social distancing, and
Yeah.
so, but obviously other people do, and you got to respect that. So other people you don't see as much, especially um, both of my sisters had babies, so
Oh.
that was like so I can't go see them. Um, and then when people get sick, it's like, oh, I'm sick. It's like, all right, well, I might have a fight, so I can't see you now.
Hmm.
Just get so it was just it like training this much is already a pretty isolated lifestyle.
Hmm.
And then with COVID, it just made it a little more. So all it did was build up emotions a little more, I would say, but not in a negative way.
Okay. And how do you your your next fight coming up? Are you training differently? Are you doing anything basically differently, especially with the pandemic and how everything has changed? And now, I mean, not so much because we're back and running, but just the way that, that time frame that we had where everything was just up in the air.
So this fight's been scheduled, I believe, for a month.
Hmm.
I believe. I believe I accepted a month ago. The So everything's been back in the swing for this camp, pretty much. Back to normal.
How long are your camps normally?
It depends. I mean, the one for Hobson was about a year.
That's a little different. Okay.
Yeah, it's I would say on average you try to shoot for 2 months, 3 months.
Okay.
But I've also fought twice within a month,
Oh, okay.
but that was as an amateur. It's a little easier.
Okay. So do you think that it was a great idea that your coach told you to hold off and become pro?
When he had told me, so um, it wasn't really so much that he told me to hold off because I never asked. Like he knew that I wanted to go pro
Okay.
the entire time, so it was more of just me waiting for him to talk to me about it. And then when he did, it was like yes, yes, it's all 100%.
Where do you want to go from here?
Well, I would like to get a contract with Bellator so I can take their belt, and then go take the UFC belt. That's the dream.
That's your dream.
Yeah.
What's your time frame that you're thinking you want this to happen? Yesterday?
Yeah, yeah. Ideally right now, but realistically, it's all with good health. I think it would. It's hard because there's a couple people. If you look at like the top 10 rankings for Bellator,
Mhm.
they everybody's got about 20 fights. So if I have to get 20 fights to get a chance at their belt, then that's going to take a lot longer. Personally, I don't think I have to. Like, if I can get a couple good fights, some good highlight reels, and get noticed, and then I can get a fight into um, the top 10, top 15, whatever, and then slowly work into it, then I could do that a lot quicker.
Mhm.
So it all depends on how each fight goes, how my health is, and what Bellator is willing to give me. So it's because I'm not signed with them, so it's more so just waiting on them for hoping, not so much hoping, but putting on good performances to get a contract out of them.
Now, are you looking to fight as many times as possible? Or do you have like, I mean, I know everybody has a game plan, but do you have something set like this is maybe if I fight this person and if I fight this person, maybe, it'll get me one step closer or anything like that?
I I'll fight anybody. My coach is the one who deals with that more.
Yeah.
Like when he knows that no matter who he offers me, I'm gonna say yes. So he's the one who's like, all right, well, this is the right fight. This isn't the right fight, and so we're gonna
Mhm.
do this one. And I leave that up to him, and I trust what he says, and I just say yes and work hard. I obviously think about it, but no matter
Mhm.
who you put me against, I'm gonna say yes. Um, I would like to fight as many times as I can, but with within reason of you have to
Mhm.
consider like your health and everything. So it's difficult each fight depending on how each fight goes. If like after the last fight I didn't really have any injuries, so I could have fought pretty quickly afterwards. But then Bellator kind of stopped for a little bit of a chunk, and then I tried to get another fight with him back in April, and I said yes, but that guy said yes to somebody else. So he went and fought somebody else, and then they didn't offer me anybody else. So then Cage Titans offered me this fight, so it's just staying busy and just
Mhm.
keep racking up wins.
Have you kept your same coaches throughout your amateur and professional career?
Yes,
And
same,
they've been managing you?
same head coach.
Okay.
And you said what?
Management?
My head coach is my man.
Okay. And how important do you feel it is to have the right coach and the right management?
It, it'll make or break your career. It's like my coach. I wouldn't want any other coach because
Mhm.
my coach cares a lot. Like, I have never had a coach in my life care as much about my performance and what I do as my coach currently does.
Yeah.
Because when like if I lose, he feels like he failed me,
Mhm.
and he goes home unhappy, and that's I mean most coaches will just like all right, it is what it is. We'll go back to the drawing board, and but he takes it a lot more personally because he cares a lot more, and all that does is make me want to work harder, and it makes it easier to listen to him, easier to trust him when he tells me to do something or when he tells me to push harder. So that relationship it makes me a lot better because I'm only going to learn from him better now.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's so important. I know a lot of people, they don't really understand the value of having the right team. Um, they're just focusing on fighting and they don't really look at the whole picture. It's just like, well, I'm going to fight, and not realizing that it's important to have the right corner. It's important to have the right management team because they're they're looking at the bigger picture. They're actually looking, well, ideally, they're looking at what's best for your career. And some people don't. They want to fight and they'll take anybody, and not realizing that by not taking the time to research, they're messing up their fight career. But
And there's people who bounce around who I know people who are trying to get fights who don't have a head coach that goes with them to their fights.
mhm,
Like, oh, I see you train every day. I see you through your weight cut.
mhm,
I know what you're doing lifting. I know what you're doing eating wise. I know everything you do, and I take all of that into consideration. I know how much
mhm,
cardio you do outside the gym. I know how hard you work every day in the gym. I know your injuries. I know how, like your mental state, your emotional state. I know like having that connection so that the training becomes a lot more precise,
mhm,
a lot more calculated to suit each individual the best that it can. And people just bounce around like, oh, I'm going to train here, I'm going to train there. And then I've seen people go to fights and they don't have coaches.
mhm,
And like my coach has cornered other people because they didn't have a coach. He's like, yeah, I'll coach you. Just get someone to wrap your hands and I'll coach you.
mhm,
It was it, it was just boggled. I was like, I respect it. Like you
mhm.
can't find a coach that you can keep with you, and you're still going to try to fight. Like I respect that, but it's not the best move for your career. There's guys who train out of their garage and then just go get fights. It's like you're tough, man, but it's not the smart move.
How do you feel about that? When you hear people that are fighting, but they're just fighting because, hey, I want to fight MMA, but not actually having, I guess, a training center, a corner, um, or anything that really is helping them build them up.
It's not smart. I respect the drive to go and do it. Um, it's it's not easy to do that, to push yourself to work out in
Mhm.
your own gym by yourself, to push yourself constantly by yourself. But then at the same time, you're not going to have anybody else around you that's going to make you better.
Mhm.
Only you makes you better, and you're only so good, so you're only going to get so much growth in a time span. But when you have people who are beating you up every day, who are really good at something that you're not, they're going to help you catch up to them, and then you're going to get better in all areas. So it's like I said, I respect it, like the drive to do it, but it's
Yeah.
certainly don't think it's the right decision.
Oh, so we have a comment. I don't know if you can see it. Billy's
Hey,
a good dude,
thank you. I
awesome
hope
fighter. Yeah, everybody's looking forward to this fight that's coming up July, July 10th. That's for sure. What would you like to tell the fighters, fighters that are amateurs that are trying to get to start their professional career? What would you like to, or what would you share with them that you've experienced that helped you through that transition?
if you so I'd say there's two things. If you're an amateur, if you've got like 8 or 10 fights, you're good to go. You've seen enough people, you've seen enough different like areas, like different styles that it's like, all right, I've seen it all. I'm not going to be too surprised in there. So you can go pro. But if you haven't, if you've got a couple fights, make sure you fight a good wrestler. Make sure you fight a good grappler. Make sure or a good jiu-jitsu guy. Make sure you fight a good kickboxer, like just a heavy brawler, someone that's
Mhm.
bigger than you, someone that's faster than you, longer reach, taller, everything, shorter, stockier. Fight every different, like get every opportunity you can, so that when you go pro, nothing's gonna surprise you. To where now going, you're 10 minutes deep and you're cut and you've seen it all before, so nothing's gonna phase you. And then outside of that, I would just say the everything in your day to day life has a lot heavier effect on how you train, how you're gonna fight. Absolutely, and just day in and day out how you're gonna feel. So taking that into consideration and just making the sacrifice, like cutting, like getting rid of friends who like skip the gym, man. Like
Mhm.
don't work hard, like or like don't work as hard. You can cheat a little bit here, and I'm not saying you have to cut off all your friends and you can't have fun, but it's if you want to get to the top, then it's gonna be a lonely ride. You're gonna have to make a lot of sacrifices. You're gonna miss a lot of parties. You're gonna miss a lot of family gatherings. And if you don't want to do that and you just want to fight and train hard here and there, that's fine. Just don't expect to take it too far.
How would a fighter determine if, you know, a lot of people will comment, if you have a winning streak and you're undefeated, and they're like, oh, well, they're padding his record. How would a fighter actually kind of look at their record and know that, hey, my coach is actually, matching me up with fighters where I'm challenging myself, or no, they're just giving me easy wins?
I think you'll a fighter would know that themselves. Um, and if they didn't, you could always look at like fight someone and see where they go, see who they
Mhm.
fight next, and see how their record does after you. If they go on a three fight win streak after you, that's probably a legit fighter, unless you're both padding your records, which I would doubt. The But that's usually the key sign, seeing someone and going off, like fighting Cameron. Cameron, he's on the Ultimate Fighter right now,
Yeah,
so it's not padding your record.
yeah.
The it's And if for someone outside of it looking at it, I mean, if somebody has a 500 amateur record, or just anything around to where if they have a bunch of wins and they have no losses, or they have one loss here and there, it's like all right, they might be padding their record or they're really good. But if they're middle of the road, they're 5-3, six
Mhm.
three, then they're not probably not padding the record as much. I mean, sometimes people I've been told by other fighters like, hey, just take a tune-up fight. Like he's like, I know you love fighting anybody, but take a turd and just beat up on somebody so you can get a little more cage time. But I mean, personally, I don't like doing that. It's just
Mhm.
like beating up somebody who doesn't know how to fight. There's no honor in it, I guess.
Mhm.
So you can just watch, and also if you know fighting, you can just watch a fight. Like
Yeah.
there's been guys I've seen they're like 2-14, and all 14 losses are to submissions and TKOs, ref stoppages, and it's just like you're probably taking a fall quite a few of
Yeah.
those times. So you can look at the record of the guys that they fight and watch videos of them fighting other people.
And for the fighters that have now just started their professional career and it's not really going the way they planned, what's the best thing that they can do to make sure that if their dream is to take it to the next level, that they still have a chance?
Well, see, I wouldn't say necessarily I'm in that boat myself, but I am to a degree because I was on a two fight loss
Mhm.
losing streak, and then I won my last one, so I'm 3-2. So I'm about middle of the road right now. I had my first two fights as a pro were wins, so that was a good start. Um, but I lost my amateur fight right before going pro, and that didn't slow me down. So it's
Mhm.
more so just in like your character. Like, do you want to give up? Because there's plenty of people who have come back from no matter what. As a pro, when
Yeah.
you start, you're just starting out. Losing your first fight's not gonna put you out.
Mhm.
There's people like look at Brendan Moreno. He got in the UFC, lost a couple times, got out of the UFC, and then 3 years later was a champ.
Mm-hmm.
So people have come back from bigger losses to do bigger things. So taking a couple losses here and there, don't let it deter you. Just take it on the chin and keep working hard. And then but you also have to analyze like what's wrong. Like, am I dropping my hands in fights? Am I like missing? Like, there's people who go around and just don't have grappling games, who just don't grapple. It's like if you're not grappling, you're not gonna make it anywhere. Doesn't matter how hard you hit. Doesn't matter how strong you are, because you're gonna find somebody who hits just as hard as you, not harder, and hits and it's faster than you, and they have good grappling, and they're gonna tool on you. Then you don't want to deal with that, so you need to be good in every area. And people also need cardio. Most people don't do cardio. The most important one.
Cardio is so tricky. Well, for me, because I feel like when I was training and doing what I was doing, oh, I could go and go and go. But then when I would train jujitsu and I'm like trying to do like the cardio work, I was like, I could have sworn I was really good at this, but it's like, no, I suck. Like, what happened? Like, I can't breathe. I can't. So it's like, I feel like it's for every type of combat sport, there's like a specific type of cardio that you need to do. Because if you do it wrong, it's just like, yeah, I can run, which I can't run. But if I did, I'd be like, oh, I can run for X amount. But then my cardio isn't prepared to be in a ring fighting and striking and doing this and doing that. So it's like you have to train yourself and prepare yourself correctly. And, you were talking about how you had two losses, but I'm sure when you left the ring, left the cage, left, the mat, wherever you were at, you you focused on that particular part and worked on it. So it's not like you took a loss and then ignored it. You learned from it. Whereas some people are convinced that they're the best in the world and they don't have to train anything else. And it's like, oh my gosh, but you're not. It's like they're doing mixed martial arts, but they have no ground technique, like you said. It's like you're not even a white belt. You know what I mean? It's like at least pretend to be a white belt, but
Yeah.
they don't. They just want to just say, I don't know what they want to say, but it's like, okay, then just take a month and work on your ground technique and your game is going to change. But their mentality is stuck that I want to be number one, number one, number one, but they're not focusing on those little things that they need to work on. But everybody who sees you fight is like, oh my gosh, he's going to be fighting. Oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? Because they know how tough you are. They know you don't pick any random fight. You fight. You know what I mean? It's like you get in there. You're not putting on a show. You're demonstrating that you've been training and these are your techniques and this is what you've mastered and this is what you're doing. Whereas other people, where I've seen is I'm going to put on a show, and it's like, why are you putting on a show? You're basically going to go 5 rounds with this person, letting them do their game, giving yourself the opportunity to lose. So then at the last round, you're going to bust out with something. It's like, just spend 4 rounds giving the other person a chance, So it's like, I feel like some professional fighters don't understand the difference between putting on a show and actually putting on a show in the sense like, I'm going to beat my record. This is what I did what I did last fight. I'm going to show you that I'm better than that. I'm going to show you that that's nothing compared to what I can actually do. Whereas they just want to dance around,
Yeah, there's and that's also just part of the culture right now. Look at people like just watch the UFC. There's tons of drama, unnecessary drama, constantly. And then there's people like Rob Whittaker, who's just like, he doesn't care. He's not going to talk too much shit. He's just going to go out there and he's going to fight and he's going to work hard, and he takes his losses on his chin and he acts himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't know. I've never showboated really. Well, no, there was one time I did a Fortnite dance after a fight for my nephew. But like, I don't have the desire to jump on the cage, which I'm not knocking anybody else for it, because like if you win, especially if you knock somebody out in a flashy People love it when you jump on the cage, so it does draw more attention. It's just not something that kind of goes through my mind. I don't. I don't know. It's not more. I'm not there for anyone else. Like the crowd never really registers to me. Like I don't. It never bothers me. It never gets me too hyped up. It's just it's there, and I just like fighting. So I just go out there and just do what I can, and I want to be like that's my goal. Um, like regardless of how far I go, the at least for people who love fighting and like the art of fighting and technique,
Mhm.
all ground game, everything, you kind of look for this one time where you have your best performance ever, where everything clicks, everything your slipping punches, your takedowns are perfect, your hands are up, and you're counter punching, and everything just kind of clicks, and you just feel good, and you give your best. You get to put
Mhm.
everything out there, and then like you can't ask for anything else. Can't ask for anything better than that. And that's what I try to do every time. And personally, I don't think it's I don't think I'll ever be able to do my best because there's always nerves. There's always you're always you're always a little tired from the weight cut. You're always always a little tired from the camp,
Mhm.
little banged up. So your best is something that you constantly strive to do, to put on in that cage, and it's something that you just are gonna endlessly chase, hoping to get a glimpse of it in one fight.
How do you balance your personal life and your professional life? Because you said earlier that you work like 60 plus hours.
Well, so I have I said like a 60 workout. So I work.
Oh, I was gonna say, how are you doing this?
No. I work 40 hours a week. I don't usually work overtime. Like I work a couple hours here and there, but never much. Uh, because I also like I lift for about 5 hours a week, and I also practice for about 15 hours a week. So it's 60-hour work week right there, and
Mhm.
all it's just busy. So I get time to see people and to hang out with friends and family. It's just not much.
Okay. Now, is there anything else that you would like to share before we conclude with this interview?
I follow my Instagram, Billiam Goff, BILLIAMGOFF. Uh, Follow my team's page on Instagram. It's Team Dexter Valley Tutor. We have a Facebook page as well, Team Dexter Valley Tutor. They post all my team stuff. I have 3 other teammates who are fighting on this card on July
Okay.
10th. Austin Shala, Jake Katsky, and Randy Francis. 2 of them have fought before. One was making their amateur debut, and it's going to be a great card. So if you can make it out there, or at least tune in on Flow Combat, it's July 10th for Cage Titans, and it's going to be fun. This is my team's gear stuff. So thanks for having me.
Mm, awesome. If you can send me your all that information so I can put it in the description so
Mhm.
people can have it and access it. Yeah, I can't wait actually to see the other two fighters. You said two or three?
3.
Three. So it's you said
One
off.
of the fights might not be announced. I'm not too certain. I
Okay.
could be wrong on that, but I believe 3 of them. I believe 2 of them are announced.
Okay.
Um, I think one of them's still waiting, but it's in the works, and he's talking about it, and he wants to fight. So,
And you said it was Austin? No.
yep. So Austin Shala, Randy Francis, and Jake Katsky,
Okay. And Austin, is he still an amateur or he's a going professional?
amateur.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
amateur. Austin and Randy and Jake, they're all amateur. Uh,
Okay.
Randy and Austin have fought before,
Mhm.
and Jake has not. This will be his amateur debut.
Okay. Awesome. And now it's important for people to know that their fight record does not reflect their talent.
Not at all.
Yes, I've seen them fight before, and their record does not by any means reflect anything. And I
Personally,
mean,
so finish what you're saying.
no, that's it.
Personally, I think if you get a guy who is like 8-12 or 12 and 10, like just 500 fighter. Yeah, he has a ton of fights. That's a tough. Or even dudes like there's dudes out there who are 3-8, and they just keep fighting. Like that is a tough dude. Like
Mhm.
regardless of he might not be the best fighter in the world, but he is constantly a threat because he will not he doesn't stop fighting.
Mhm.
I mean he could be a fall guy, but we're not talking about those guys.
No.
So it's you never count anybody out. Dudes who are like that's the and even that goes back to the people who have like one trick pony, like somebody who hits
Mhm.
hard. That's all they got. They can strike and hit hard. That's it. The and if they're tough, you you might be a lot better than them. You could take them down, submit them really quickly. But in between that, it's still dangerous.
Mhm.
No matter what you do, they're still going to be dangerous every step of the way. So you got to keep your hands up. You got to be prepared. You got to respect them.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do. I'm looking forward to all this.
Like I said,
Hey. Awesome. Thank you so much and have a wonderful night.
you as well.
Thank you.